Well, good afternoon and welcome to Sports Today. It's a beautiful day of cricket, isn't it? In spite of Smith becoming the very first Australian to score a century in this series with a beautiful knock of 131, India still look like a happiness dice so far. Well, the Australians were bowled out for 338 earlier this day, and of course, India on day two has made 96 with two, still trailing by 242 runs. But good things from the Indian team. Let's deep dive into how this particular day panned out. I've got Bora Mujumdar, Rajesh Gupta, Pragya Roja. Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. And because it's been a day of the bowlers, I'm going to go straight to Pragyan. Pragyan, I mean, talk about Jadeja to me. I mean, if you ask him to score runs, he scores a 50. If you ask him to take wickets, he takes four of them. How is he as a bowler for you?
He was brilliant. If you see yesterday, he was kind of, I thought maybe he was trying a bit more. But today, if you see, yeah, I think he realized he must have spoken to the bowling coach, or he would have seen his videos. He would have seen where the balls that he had bowled previous day were landing. So I think he's come back with a plan, and that's what he's done. He's bowled to his strength, and his strength is keep things very tight. Bowl just stump to stump and don't give the batsman too many easy deliveries, and that's how he got his wickets.
Yes, exactly. And he's looked so stunning in the entire match so far. Deep, if you notice, our Indian bowlers have bowled to the Australian team playing at the stump. Is this a plan they put in place for Smith and Labuschagne because they've been dismissed just like that earlier as well?
Absolutely, but that's not the easiest thing to do. If you're bowling there and both Labushan and Smith, they like playing on the onside. So that's where you have to give credit to the Indian bowlers. Not only that they've attacked the stumps more often, increasing the chances of getting the batsman out, but they've been extremely disciplined not to give away runs on the onside because that's what a lot of bowlers have tried against these two batsmen to try and attack the stumps. But every now and then they would give a few deliveries on the onside where getting runs or getting boundaries was easy for both these batsmen. And that's where I think a lot of credit to the Indian bowlers to the kind of discipline that they've shown with their line and length.
Yep. What about how did the day of cricket pan out for you? Were you impressed by the Indian side so far? What are your reviews?
On a very, very good batting wicket to be able to do, yeah, on a good batting wicket to do what they did to Smith and Labuschagne in the morning. Before the rain, one wicket, and after that to keep plugging in there, be in there in the moment when Steve Smith was running away with it with an excellent knock. Credit to the Indian bowlers. I mean, Ravindra Jadeja, Pragyan said, I thought he was a little underbowled yesterday. I thought Navdeep Saini was a little underbowled yesterday. But Ravindra Jadeja, come on, if you can pick overseas wickets with his bag full in India, why would you not be rated as the best all-rounder or one of the best all-rounders in the business? Why is it that only fast bowling all-rounders will be considered best all-rounders in the schema and not Ravindra Jadeja? That is a debate that we will have to champion because this man and that throw, that for many of us will be Martin Guptill and Ravindra Jadeja. What a player. I mean, Steve Smith could have easily taken it to another 20, 30 runs and would have been difficult. Only issue with me is I thought Cheteshwar Pujara tried to down the shutters early. I mean, 9 of some 60 odd, Ajinkya 5 of 40 odd, you will get one good ball. I thought the Indians got a tad too defensive in the final hour. They were going at 3 and over, it came down to 2. And that for me was a bit of a problem because you've got to score runs. You cannot let the Australian bowlers jump on you and start dictating terms.
Absolutely. And having said that, I mean, of course, that throw that Jadeja throw was one stump to aim at, sort of made everybody's morning. But talking about Smith, I mean, he's the first Australian to make that century, and after so much pressure, having not performed in the first two tests, what do you make and how do you rate this particular century of Smith, Rajashri?
Commendable effort. We there's no doubt he's probably the best Test batsman in the world today. And to come back from, we were discussing how R. Ashwin had entrapped him, how India were bowling brilliantly to him right through the series before. I thought they still did well against him in Sydney. It's just his mental resilience. And that's the thing about Steve Smith. This guy is a cricket fanatic. His we saw that video of him fully kitted in his hotel room, shadow batting, and when he came out to bat, he took his time. And the moment Sorry, he took his time after the first couple of for the first 28, 30 runs, and we knew that this guy was settling in for the long haul. In fact, yesterday after the first day's play, we were discussing the importance of taking out Smith early. And imagine if we'd done that, Australia might have been 250, 260 all out, but that man could still make the difference. But I thought it was a commendable effort from 200, 2 for 206. Australia were at that stage to be 338 all out. Steve Smith on one hand and the rest of the Australian batting attack, apart from Labuschagne on the other hand, commendable effort. I don't know whether we should rate it yet, but we probably should wait till the end of the match and see what result this 100 gives Australia.
In fact, yeah, that's right. I'm not sure if we can rate it, but for sure we can dissect it with Deep here. So Deep, he has made a little adjustment in his foot movement after the second test. He's still going across, but not as much. How has he made that adjustment, and has that particular adjustment worked for him?
Obviously, it has. I mean, he got 100, so obviously it has worked for him. But listen, he got out to Bumrah round his legs, which does not happen that often. And you know the good thing about someone like Smith is the fact that he can change this whole batting style that he has now. Basically, happened overnight while he was batting in England. So he has that ability to make those fine adjustments, and all great players do. I mean, that's the reason they are great because they have that ability to assess the situation, the plan of the opposition or the bowler, and then adjust accordingly. Yes, he wasn't moving as across as he was in the first couple of test matches, but he was still there very much so. The other important thing that I noticed was his head. If you look at his first couple of test matches, not only was he moving across, his head was moving a little too across. He was kind of falling over as well. Today he was, or rather yesterday or this innings, to be honest, was a lot more balanced. He was moving across, but not as much. His head was right on top of his right foot, which is back foot, where he wants it to be. I think it was a lot more upright, and I think those adjustments he made while he was practicing in his room.
And
Yeah.
to add to Deep Bhai, there's a small change that he's done. I believe there are two reasons to it. One, that Deep Bhai was just mentioning about his that he was moving across. So that's the reason maybe he tried to get his foot little towards inside, and maybe that is one of the trigger moments. That's what I see nowadays often with all these batsmen and bowler, to have that a small trigger moment where they give that signal to their mind that okay, they're ready and this is what they're not supposed to do. You've seen bowlers writing stuff on their shoes or maybe on their wrist, that this is what I am, that is what I am. So it is just a small signal to your brains. And if you see Steve Smith, his front foot is little it's towards inside, but at the time when the bowler comes just before the delivery, that's when he straightens it up. I think for me, what I get a reading as a bowler is he's trying to give a signal to his mind that okay, this is how I'm going to bat, or he's trying to alert himself. So that is one trigger moment what I saw. I was trying to judge that. Maybe my reading was that.
Interesting. Also, when we're talking about Smith, we have to talk about his carbon copy, which is Labuschagne. Boreda, first of all, I have to tell you that you are a hit with the viewers because every particular question is sort of directed to Boria sir, please answer this. Boria sir, please answer this. Boria sir, please answer this. So clearly, you're the most popular person here on the channel, and that's why I have to ask you, what did you make of
I'll tell you
Labuschagne's
why.
innings?
I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. Yesterday, because I was not there, they're missing me. Otherwise, Deep and Pragyan, for post-match and pre-match analysis, they are by far 200 times better than anyone. So there's no question. When you were missing the other day, there were many questions for you. So sports today is getting loved these days. So that's why some more questions for me today.
So in that case, what do you make of Smith's carbon copy, Labuschagne? And he seems to be going for a big score in every innings that he's playing. What did you make of him? Boreda.
See, he's obviously a very, very good batsman and a quality player. Make no mistake, he's a very, very good act. But he's falling 60s, 70s, 50s, not converting. He's due one bad series, but this has not been a bad series. He's still been scoring. Now, that's excellent for Australia. And I also like the way he was talking to Gill. He was talking to Rohit under the helmet, trying to chat them up. He's quite a character, the way he appeals. I would love Deep. Deep only perhaps among us will be able to do this. If he had a bat, or even if he doesn't have a bat, Deep has to enact Steve Smith and Manas Labuschagne for us. The way Steve Smith, after he leaves a Jasprit Bumrah delivery, he has to enact what he does when it's a good ball and he's beaten. Deep, will you take up this challenge for us and do this, please?
All right, I'll do that. I'll do that. Post this test match, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll try.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Interesting. And Rajesh, what did you think of his dismissal though? Nervous in the 90s, lack of a lapse of concentration.
It came out of nowhere, really. I mean, I was happy when he got out, but it came out of nowhere, right? It was just one of those dismissals against the run of play. Would I say nervous? But everything that you see about Manas Labuschagne, there's nothing nervous about him. There's a lot of nervous energy, but he seemed so confident. It was such a sublime knock up until that point. Uh, I mean, it just had to happen. It's very difficult to explain that dismissal. Maybe Pragyan can do that technically, but it was against the run of play, and these things happen in cricket, right? And that was probably the moment India were waiting for another 100-run partnership. And the last wicket fell at 106, then at 206, Australia lost that third wicket, and that sort of triggered the collapse. But I wouldn't put it to anything else apart from probably a fraction of loss of concentration, probably.
Yeah, beaten by the sudden bounce. But having said that, अब हम अपनी बात करते हैं. हमने भी आज बहुत अच्छा खेला, ठीक है. तो बुमराह, let's talk about Bumrah and his fiery spells. Thoughts on that, Pragyan?
Yes, Bumrah. I'll come to Bumrah. Yes, there was bounce in Jadeja's ball, but more than that, it was like if you see previous deliveries that Jadeja bowled, it was little short and it was slow. I felt if you see the pace of the wicket that he generated was little more than the delivery that he was hit for the boundaries. So I think he has used little bit of his wrist and his shoulders to generate that pace. I think maybe he wanted to do that wantedly so that he gets the better of the batsman. That's what I felt. There was a slight increase in the pace, and that was because Jadeja has got a lovely shoulder. The way he throws the ball, the way he has that power, and while fielding, you see that. Maybe he's just done that. He's used a little bit more of his shoulder. That's what you do on a wicket which is slow. At times, you try and use your shoulder a little more to generate that extra pace of the wicket. And coming to Bumrah, yesterday I said, yes, it's too early to, comment on someone like Bumrah. He's a world-class bowler. Today we have seen the way he bowled. And in fact, if you look at the way Bumrah has bowled, Siraj and Saini, you can make out, why he's the leader. He was just bowling in that corridor, just close to the batsman. When he got that new ball in his hand, he was trying to make sure that every ball the batsman has to think of playing. He never wanted them to leave the ball. But if you look at Saini and Siraj, they were little outside. The same difference which we see with Hazelwood. If you see his line, every time he's on that off stump, when the batsman always is thinking about, should I leave the ball, should I play? When the batsman is in that kind of mindset, then you have a better chance of getting him out.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. So let's talk about the man that all of us were anticipated of coming into this particular match. That's Rohit Sharma. And his off-field drama around him was the talk of the town. And today he has played. And in 14 test innings, is the first time that India has held a partnership of 50 runs. Deep, Rohit Sharma for you this morning and afternoon.
Very compact. I mean, this was his first away test match as an opener, and he looked very comfortable, very compact. Obviously, he had his game plan set, and we discussed what could be his game plan, which was, anything pitched up, you try and defend anything short of length or, short pitch, he went for it. So I think it was a very clear game plan that he had, and credit to him, he showed a lot of mental discipline to actually, till the point he got out, to actually follow that game plan, which is not easy. I mean, driving an overpitch delivery comes very naturally to someone like Rohit, who's such a great white ball batsman. But to actually defend those deliveries in Test match cricket, it takes a lot out of an individual. And in the end, it also kind of led to his downfall because he was actually defending most of those deliveries, which he kind of pushed the delivery that he got out to. But yeah, he looked compact. He looked in place. There was no reason to think that he looked out of place or he was opening for the first time overseas conditions. I think it was very good, and that opening 50 odd run stand actually created a really good platform for the Indian batting.
Nice. Vanita, were you nervous for Rohit today?
Of course we was. All of us were. Each one of us wanted Rohit to score. Each one of us wanted Rohit to succeed. And absolutely, I mean, when Rohit middled that first ball, sort of Mitchell Stark for a single, I was like glad. And then that Nathan Lyon six, and you're like, yes, he's getting into groove. Absolutely. I mean, I keep saying this. If you know someone well and you know that this man has worked like a maniac to get where he has, when he had no reason to put all of this on the line, you 100% back him. And we were. So I was thrilled. When is the last time you got a 50 partnership? Tell me, 14 test matches back. And Rohit Sharma did not for once look to be out of sorts. Gill is a champion. I mean, he is the future of Indian batting. Rohit Sharma, the present of Indian batting. It was terrific. Mayank will obviously make his way back. So you've now got three openers you can bank on. For me, Rohit's comeback was, he might not have got a 50, but that 26, and he played the new ball off for 22 overs, setting it up for Pujara and Rahane and Vihari and the rest, was an incredibly important knock. So absolutely, I'm very, very pleased for Rohit.
And the quarantine and everything that we were talking about actually did not show, the effect of that did not show on his body language. That's actually Rohit for you today.
Again, I was, I wasn't surprised because who he is, right? A complete champion, and it showed. It showed that even during his hard quarantine, that man was constantly thinking. It was almost like he was thinking of the day he would return to bat in a Test match in Sydney, and it was his grit. And we were discussing how he looked, how solid he looked at the nets, and he all carried it through. But I agree with Deep that maybe he was, probably a tad bit too defensive. You could have probably taken on a few of those balls that he went on to block and defend. But apart from that, he did the job for India. He did the job for India. We've had our opening concerns, but with Shubman Gill, he added 70, survived those 27 overs, and he sort of laid out a platform for the Indian team. So he's done what he can. He's done what he does best, play for the team. And also the fact that he's such a naturally aggressive batsman, right? For him to grind through that, it also talks a lot about your mental aspect. You can agree with his defensive approach, or maybe was he a tad bit too defensive. But the fact is that he's such a naturally aggressive batsman, and to do that, it takes a lot of mental strength.
Yes, and I'm glad you also mentioned Shubman Gill out there because yes, Deep, sure.
Sorry, listen. I think Rashid didn't get me right. I didn't say he was defensive. I said that was his game plan, which actually has worked for him in the past, opening the innings in at home against really good sides like South Africa and all. All I meant was the decision. I mean, the delivery that he got out to just pushed it a little bit. I think those natural instincts as a white ball cricketer just came in just a tad bit in that delivery where he got dismissed.
No, Deep, I wasn't disagreeing with you. I said I agree with you, but I thought that maybe it is the fact that he's such a naturally aggressive batsman, and I completely agree with you that he's such a
Yeah,
naturally aggressive batsman that sometimes it takes you that much more mental adjustment to
true,
get the kind of game plan that he deployed. That's all I
true,
was saying. Yeah.
true.
Yeah. All right, but talking about opening partnership, also we've got a stat that one of our viewers has mentioned here. This is for the first time. It's Bakar Khan saying this is the first time Indian openers lasted for 20 overs in a test outside Asia since Sehwag and Gambhir played out 29 overs in the Centurion Test in December 2010. Thank you so much for that, Bakar. But having said that, this opening partnership also had a Shubman Gill, who seems to be becoming like this hot favorite of the Indian side, Pragyan. Has he established a certain position in your heart for himself?
Yes, he has. The way he was batting, he looked very confident. This is his second test, and he was looking as if he belongs there and he knows how to go about his business. But saying that, we have spoken about we did so well with the bat and all. Mind you, this wicket is far different than what we played in Adelaide and in MCG. So we have to understand that as well. This wicket is much better. This is good for once you settle down. It's easy for you to score runs, and it wasn't doing much. Yeah, just today it started doing a little bit of the variation with the bounce, but apart from that, it was a very good wicket. But if you look at MCG and Adelaide, there was something for the bowlers. There was bounce, there was turn in the day one. So we have to think about that aspect as well. But no credit taken away from these two guys. Rohit straight away coming from the quarantine and doing that brilliant job of taking off the new ball, the shine of the new ball, and setting it up for the middle order batsman was brilliant. And Shubman was too good. The way he was playing, he never looked as if this is his second test.
Yep. So solid start, solid day for India already. Very quickly, a lot of questions in the comment section, gentlemen. So we're going to start with Shantanu Mishra. This one's for you, Boryada. Don't you think that with Pujara being over defensive, now the onus is even more on Rahane to score runs attackingly with intent?
No, I don't think tomorrow morning he will be that defensive. Maybe he downed the shutters knowing that half an hour, 45 minutes to close. Tomorrow, I don't think that approach will be the same. Tomorrow morning, both of them will want to score runs because, two down, you've got 100. You should be happy with the way you have been able to come back. 166 for 2, 338 bowled out, 100 for 2, India very much in the game. So I was a little worried today because when Pat Cummins was bowling that channel, and Pat Cummins is the best Australian bowler on view by a mile. So I was worried for Pujara. And then Mitch Stark came and tried to bowl body. But thank God he survived. So tomorrow you've got to have these two guys do the job for India. Australia was 2 down. They started, but then that collapse happened. So you know that with a collapse, what can go on. So you've got to get close, because if you do get close, the two spinners that you have, Ashwin and Jadeja, will be able to create havoc in the Australian lineup on day 4. So you try and bat as much as possible of day 3, get close, then the match is well and truly set up for an interesting finish.
Nice. That's like an introduction of what should be the game plan tomorrow. Deep, what should be the game plan for India tomorrow?
Well, for me, this is the first innings game, right? If you don't score big in the first innings, then you're looking down at the barrel. This is what I think.
Yeah.
So my point is, it's for 46, 47 overs gone. Obviously, first half an hour, settle in, don't lose a wicket. And then try and accelerate a bit, because 80 overs, come the 80 overs, you will have the second new ball. But obviously, you have to make sure that you're there for the second new ball as well. So for me, I think, yeah, I mean, first half an hour, watch out. Because again, let me reiterate this. The pitch is going to stay a little low. It will play a little up and down the bounce for the fifth, especially fifth day. So you don't want to bat fourth here on day 5 with a lot to kind of chase or whatever, or to defend. So for me, I think it's going to be very, very important, imperative that India gets a big first innings, 350 plus, whatever, 400, as much as they can. And then the pressures on Australia. As Boria mentioned, with 2 quality world-class bowlers in Ashwin and Jadeja, then the pressures on Australia. But India has to score a big first innings.
Absolutely correct.
Yes, absolutely. But Pragyan, is Nathan Lyon the most threatening bowler for the Indian side after Cummins?
I would say Josh Hazelwood, the way he's bowling. But on this wicket, the way this wicket has started behaving, I think he'll be a very difficult bowler to face, because we saw today, there was a little bit of turn and bounce, and when he was bowling outside off, and when he starts getting that bounce from outside off, it's very difficult. The short leg and short fine, the catching backward, it comes into play. That's where he becomes very dangerous.
Yeah. We also have a
Deep,
question for you,
that's
Pragyan.
that's actually a very good question from Ridhima. The Nathan Lyon question, I thought, was a
Yeah.
very good question. How do you play Nathan Lyon on a wicket that's starting to turn and bounce? Do you go back?
Right. And
Do you play more of the back foot? Do you take control like that? How do you play Nathan Lyon on a wicket like this?
see, for me, I think it's important to also attack Nathan Lyon. If you see, every time you attack Nathan Lyon, you've got to make him a little more defensive. If you keep defending, then he's going to add a few more players. somewhere down the line, one of them or both of them need to take a chance, hit him over mid on or mid wicket, make that one fielder at least go back. That is important. Now, the issue here is Pujara doesn't sweep that much. He does step out, but his stepping out is more like taking a single. Ajinkya did step out in the last test match. I hope he does more of that. Pujara, Vihari is one guy who plays spin really well because of his experience in domestic cricket. I hope he does well because he sweeps the ball as well. And that's where I think it's important. Then after that, you've got two left-handers. Nathan Lyon would have an advantage there bowling to left-handers. It's very important for me is to keep that strike rate going, not be over defensive against Nathan Lyon. And how do you play him? Just you've got to take a few risks. Maybe sweep once in a while, step out. If the mid-on's inside, mid-wicket inside, everyone's inside, go chip over mid-on or mid-wicket, get a boundary. Just make sure you don't have too many fielders around you because he's such a world-class bowler. He's such a class act that he will bowl one of those unplayable deliveries to you like he did to Pujara in the pink ball test. So you've got to be a little attacking in your mindset, take a few calculative risks against him.
Interesting. Rajashri, you think the whole Pujara versus Lion is a battle to look up to?
Absolutely, and like Boria said, Pujara is not going to be as defensive. Maybe he did down the shutters a little early tonight, but understandable. That is what Pujara's game plan has been mostly, hasn't it? Just to be watchful to start off with, but come day three, he'll look to attack a little bit more. And Deep very nicely put it. You can't be over defensive against someone like Nathan Lyon and the way this pitch is behaved. And Ravindra Jadeja was evidence. And I think it's going to be a fascinating battle. But also, I would like to watch Ajinkya Rahane because the two batsmen that you have in the middle, deft footwork, they will not obviously not run the wicket down like hairs like Virat Kohli would have forced them to. But it is going to be fascinating. It is going to be a fascinating period of play if Rahane and Pujara get going together and see what they can do against Lion.
All right, we're waiting, but we've got some questions. We should very quickly take them up. We're 3 minutes into the show. Shantanu Mishra is asking Pragyan, what's your prediction about the turn on the pitch on day 3 and day 4?
I think it's quite clear. We have already seen today itself. There was a variation in the bounce, and the ball was slowly. It's turning now. So I think without a doubt, Sydney wicket is going to assist the spinners. And if the fast bowlers, if the cracks open out little more, I think there will be some bounce here and there. We have seen Steve Smith. A couple of balls and Rohit Sharma as well. The ball that was the way they were expecting it bounced much more than what they thought of. So I think there will be variation in the bounce, and for sure the wicket will start turning for the spinners. Maybe second half from tomorrow.
Interesting. Yeah.
Ridhima, can I just add? I was just looking at a few of the comments, and Yogesh PV comes up with a really good idea. And because we're talking about Nathan Lyon here, I think he's mentioned, can Pant be sent ahead of Vihari and splitting? I think we've discussed this previously on Sports Today as well. And if Nathan Lyon is looking dangerous, that's not a bad idea. You don't want two left-handers back-to-back together. Hanuma, who really plays the spin well. He plays spin very well. In the last Test series as well, he played Nathan Lyon, I think, the best amongst most of the batsmen. That's not a bad idea. If you think that Nathan Lyon is looking dangerous, is looking lethal, you might think of that as well.
Yeah. Actually, there is a question by Ayush also asking, can India send Pant at number 5 and he'll be able to turn the wheels faster? And that's precisely that the question that he's taken up. We've got a question here. We've got Kumar Rishabh asking Borada, what do you think about Rishabh Pant now? Is he totally fit or not according to yesterday's match?
I didn't get the question. Come again?
He's asking you for an update on Rishabh Pant's fitness according to yesterday's match.
Before the match, he posted a video. Just check that video. Somebody who's been able to do that is quite fit. Try it out. It's quite difficult to do. So I don't think, and he's definitely lost weight since the IPL. I don't think fitness is an issue. Keeping is, Deep Das Gupta explained this like a masterclass on Sports Today some days back as to what Rishabh is doing or maybe can do better. So that's a different issue. It's about technical adjustments to his wicket-keeping ability. I don't think it's about fitness. So I don't have an issue with that. When you're about to close, just an update. Lots of people have asked me and on Sports Today about when will Saurav Ganguly be able to resume BCCI duty? How quickly can that be? Will he be away from BCCI work for a long time? I will give you a very, very interesting update at 5 at 5. So watch that space. Watch that space about this and a lot more. So very, very interesting update coming your way at 5 p.m.
Nice. So this is something that I want to tell all of you that you have to catch 5 at 5 with Boreda this evening to get all the updates right here on Sports Today. But with that, gentlemen, very quickly, predictions for tomorrow's day, tomorrow's match. How is India going to proceed? The kind of numbers that we're going to see. Let's start with Rajashri.
Listen, if rain doesn't interfere, if it's, I'd be happy if India add another 200, 220 to the score for the loss of maybe 3 wickets and get as close to this Australian first innings total as possible. Because Deep rightly mentioned, this is going to be a game of first innings, and this is the way this pitch has started behaving. Australia will have to Australia will have to bat last. So it's going to be fascinating if we can get that bit of a lead and see how we fare against a spin on a pitch that is clearly deteriorating and that is going to be uneven bounce throughout. So that's going to be fascinating for me.
Nice. Pragyan, for you. Day three.
Yes, I think Australia will be more worried if India starts getting that partnership, because if you look at Indian team, our batting, it's much more balanced. But if you look at Australia, they were 206 for two. Then look where they got all out, how many runs they got all out for. So I think their batting is very fragile. And if the bounce is uneven and the ball starts turning, you just need 3 wickets: David Warner, Steve Smith, and Labuschagne. I think after that, Australia will be in trouble. That's what they will be thinking. And as a bowling unit, Indians will be thinking about these three guys. If you get these three guys early, obviously we have a lot to do with the batting. But as a bowler, I am thinking about the bowling department. If you get these three out early, and it can happen because the wicket is going to assist you. So I think Australia will be under tremendous pressure.
Well, the 242 still to go. So that's our first target.
Oh yes, and Pragyan spoken like a true bowler from a bowler's
Yeah.
perspective. But let me talk from a batsman perspective. Uh, can't reiterate enough. This is a first innings game. So first target, as you mentioned, get that first innings lead, and then pile up a lead if you can. Bigger the better, because you don't want to bat fourth here on the surface. So the longer you bat, and I mean in terms of runs, not just overs. In terms of runs, the longer you bat, the longer the first innings is. Chances of India at least losing this test match, you're taking it out of the scene. So if you get a 50-60 run lead, which is what you scored 400, which would technically mean almost the whole of tomorrow, then you kind of reduce your chances of losing and the pressures in Australia. So for me, I think the idea is to bat the whole of tomorrow. Be very, very, because they're going to come hard. Australia is going to come really, really hard the first half an hour, and then they're going to settle down into more disciplined bowling and more kind of a defensive lines. But the first half an hour, 45 minutes, they're going to come hard, survive that, and then look to score as much as possible.
Nice. Boreda, day three is known as the moving day. Who is going to walk away with the advantage?
See, it's very difficult with this series because every time one team takes the advantage, the other comes back, right? I mean, Australia, if you see the T20 series, the ODI series, the Test series yesterday and today, yesterday 166, everybody said 400, 450, big daddy hundreds. Mr. Gavaskar said the same on India today. These guys are expected to do that. Again, India came back. That's the charm. That's the charm of this particular Test series. But I agree with Pragyan, Deep, Rajeshi, all of you, that tomorrow you've got to get close, because the moment you get close, and it's Australia's home series, for God's sake, realize that it's Australia's home series. They are the ones who are supposed to win. We are the ones who are underdogs with no Virat, with 6 players missing, half a bowling attack missing, and all of that. Australia's got everyone back. So they are the ones who's got to push the pace. India gets close to 338, and if, for God's sake, they get a lead, Australia will be under the pump, and I will want to see that happen. If that happens, two spinners up and down, Jadeja, Ashwin, lovely day for. But I've got my doubts because the second new ball will also count. So that's the most important thing. And finally, watch at 5 o'clock. Watch at 5 o'clock. Don't miss. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon. Well, today's day of play, India is going to be very, very satisfied. And tomorrow is going to be a really fascinating day of Test cricket. You don't want to miss that. And you don't want to miss 5 at 5 with Boria Majumdar. Join us at 5. See you soon.